Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you ever heard of the Barefoot Bandit?
The Barefoot Bandit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really? What about Colton Harris Moore?
No. Is he the Barefoot Bandit? Colton Harris Moore.
No, that's a different subject.
Different person.
Different subject.
You were
I'm
like,
just
oh,
looking for
okay,
stuff
sorry.
you
Let me
know.
just go ahead and go on to the next topic then. The Barefoot Bandit.
The Barefoot Bandit. This is one I think you're going to like. Spoiler alert, there's pilot stuff in here, so you can brag about how you're kind of a pilot almost.
I wouldn't do that.
I'm just prepping you for...
There's pilot stuff in here. That's why you're not one of us. It's because you say something like, there's pilot stuff in here.
Sorry, there's aeronautical stuff in here.
Nope.
Does that make me sound official?
No.
Oh, sorry. Let me think. There's Delta stuff in here. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
What do
Oh, nice.
say. I do the same thing. I fill a cup with water and I put a live rat in it.
You didn't even move. You're out of breath from fake sprinting? They can't return my letters, but they sure can find this guy. I'm a bill for it.
You're not gonna find me.
You're not gonna find me. We didn't expect that outcome from the jury. Turns out the jury is a bunch of monsters. Things I learned last night.
Okay, so Colton Harris Moore.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as the Barefoot Bandit. He was born in 1991 in Mount Vernon, Washington.
Okay.
He was a kid who grew up in a pretty rough situation. His mother was an alcoholic. His dad wasn't around. He lived in a trailer park. And
He was barefoot?
No. No.
Oh, okay.
No. But there was a...
Because the show could give him shoes.
The show could give him shoes. It wasn't a barefoot like what you think when you hear barefoot.
Oh.
It was like a he lost his feet and they gave him bare feet to replace the feet.
Oh.
And they said
BEAR.
yeah, they're like this is a veterinarian's clinic, so we don't have any human feet on hand.
I guess that would be
But
a way
we
to get
have
away with some stuff,
bare
though.
feet
You
on
know,
hand if you want them.
you like cut your ankles, right?
We were robbed by a bear.
You put some bare feet on there. It's just a bare necessitos.
Oh,
and so you went necessifeet, and that's okay. So anyway, the Barefoot Bandit.
The Barefoot Bandit.
1991. He's born.
Yeah,
Not
he's
a great
born.
upbringing.
Not a great upbringing. To make matters worse,
he's not much older than us.
No, he's what you call a not popular kid,
Yeah.
and he gets bullied growing up. Right in early.
We just called those TJ.
Who's TJ? Who's TJ?
Yeah.
TJ.
Every
What do you
loser,
think that is?
every loser I've ever known has been called TJ.
So in early high school, he befriends another one of kind of the outcasts in his high school.
Okay.
Who coincidentally just got out of juvie for
Criming.
theft, like
Sure.
minor thefts, thefting. Different, not to be confused with thrifting.
How long?
Thefting.
We got to do some episodes on the juvenile system because I don't understand how that works.
Like
Kids
juvie.
just go to
like,
jail.
Yeah. And then
But like kid jail.
then
So there's
once-
like a playground and stuff. And like, what is kid
I mean,
jail?
there's a playground at an adult jail.
I mean, sure.
They call it the yard. It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Okay. Do you learn
Yeah.
all the lingo in juvie?
I mean, it depends on who you're in juvie with.
I guess.
Like what kind of juvie you're in. Like if you're in like a juvie, then yeah. But if you're in like a juvie,
If you're like a juvie light.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Juvie light. So this kid gets out of juvie for theft, and he meets Colton, and they become friends because neither of them kind of fit in with anyone.
Sure.
And this kid realizes that Colton is missing a lot of like bare necessities, and he tells him like, "I have all the necessities I need." Like, and Colton notices that this kid's got a brand new iPod. He's got great sneaker. Like he's got everything a teenage boy in the
living
early
the dream.
2000s wants.
Sure.
Right? He's got tickets to Simple Plan. Like he's got everything.
Got all the stuff.
But this kid shouldn't have this. Like, like he shouldn't afford it. And so Colton asks him, he's like, "So you still?"
That's how I feel when I was watching all of our friends go to Taylor Swift. I was like, hey, you're too poor for that.
In high school, you see someone do that and you think something sketchy happening. But when you're an adult and you see that, you think you got a credit card and you're irresponsible.
Oh, you're 27 and your parents still pay for a lot of stuff. Good for you.
Fortune magazine did a survey recently.
4chan magazine.
Yeah. different magazine.
Fortune magazine.
Fortune magazine did a poll of Gen Zers and millennials. And they asked them on a scale of like 1 to 5, how dependent are you on your parents financially?
Yeah.
And 77% was at least somewhat dependent upon their parents financially.
Gen Z and millennial?
Gen Z and millennial. Which Gen Z, a lot of them are probably, like as Gen Z, you could still be like 17 and still be in Gen Z.
Okay.
So that I feel like that skews it. But
millennials.
still, a lot of, millennials, like, yeah.
It's
a scary stat.
We had a lot of friends in LA who we would be like, even here in Kansas City, we'd be like, how do you afford to do all this stuff? And then we find out their parents are paying their rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
It makes it a lot easier.
I wish my parents loved me. All my parents do is support me on Patreon.
All my parents. Be like Jared's mom
and dad.
Support us on
Both
Patreon.
parents support us on Patreon.
Yeah. Okay, so
remember when there's exclusive merch that you get if you're a Patreon supporter for a certain amount of time, and it's like a mug with my face on it that's like, Jared Myers is my best friend, and it got sent to my dad in the month of June, and he just thought it was his Father's Day gift. He's like, I love my Father's Day gift, and I didn't have the heart to be like,
actually, you paid for that.
That's a pay. Well, you know what? You're welcome, Dad.
And now every year you give him the same mug for Father's Day.
Yeah, he's got a lot of them.
What if we did that? What if we sent our patrons the same gift every year?
Well,
in June. It said Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
From us. All right. So millennials are poor, and back to Thomas. Colton Harris Moore.
So his friend has a lot of stuff that he can't afford.
Yes, and his friend tells him, like, hey, I recognize that you don't have a lot of your bare necessities. Why don't you just steal them? Like, just steal the stuff that you need. And so he starts showing him the ropes on theft, right? And so his friend's favorite version of theft is like home burglary, especially in the town that...
Which is a pretty advanced form of theft, most people start with a casual gas station pack of gum, but this guy's like, my favorite is breaking into vulnerable people's homes.
My favorite is bank robbery. Let me show you how. It's easy.
Yeah, just put these pantyhose over your face and let's get in there.
So the town that they lived in Washington was an island town off the coast of Washington, and it was like a vacation hotspot.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of homes there that people didn't live in full time. And it was pretty easy to spot the homes that were not lived in homes. They were just be there once a year homes, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so they got really good.
Is it because when they left, they were like, we'll see you next year?
They put a sign on the door that said,
I tell you, that's what my wife did.
No.
We're leaving for like a trip, and she yells to the cats, all right, we'll see you next Sunday. Then I was like, what are you doing?
Have you heard of robbers?
You trying to get us home alone?
And then your packages got stolen.
And then
same trip.
I'm not trying to blame anybody for that. Okay, don't try to pit me against my wife. How dare you try to drive a wedge between my marriage?
I'm just looking for a new podcast.
How dare you?
Opportunity.
A new podcast opportunity? Yeah. You think we're gonna start a whole podcast trying to track down this porch pirate?
So they start breaking into these homes, and Colton's new friend is telling him, like, here's some things you need to know. Like, obviously you don't turn the lights on because that's a clear giveaway for all the neighbors. All the neighbors know no one lives in that house.
Sure.
Unless they're there for the vacation. And so if the lights are on, that's a problem. So never turn the lights on. And other than that, there's not really
any rules.
No other rules. It's theft. You're breaking the law. There's not a lot of laws here.
Don't open the fridge.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's one of the best rules. You can eat whatever you want.
But it's probably gone bad if they left it.
If it's in the freezer, though. Yeah. So it's a lot of frozen food. Like you're cooking up some frozen food, or maybe stuff in the like doesn't go bad, like Chips Ahoy boxes.
Do you know if you've got a bunch of stuff in a freezer, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put a little cup filled with water and let it freeze.
Yeah.
And then you put like a coin on top of the frozen water in the freezer with all your stuff if you're leaving for like months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you come back, that way you can tell if the power has gone out or whatever.
Oh, based on where the coin is in the cup.
It should be at the top still.
Yeah.
If it's all stayed frozen.
Sunk.
Yeah. But if it's in the ice, then that means your freezer at one point stopped and now all that stuff is bad.
That's a much better method than what I do.
What is what you do? You just go for it.
Well, no. I do the same thing. I fill a cup with water and I put a live rat in it. And when I get home, if the rat's still there,
he ate all the food.
Then he froze and I can just thaw him out, kind of like a cryogenic sleep, and let him go on his way. But if
I go, thank you for your service.
If the power went out, then he usually escapes. He usually chooses way through.
Escapes?
He chooses his way through the fridge, and then I find him in the backyard dead because he's got Freon poisoning. But your way is a lot easier because it's just a quarter.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to freeze a quarter than a live rat.
I like how you say him as if it's the same rat every time.
It is.
But he's also died from Freon poisoning.
He hangs around. He kind of at this point, I think he likes it.
It's a brush up with death.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I call him Freezer Freddy.
Sorry, I tried to give you like a little fun life hack factoid thing there. And
speaking of rats, we got.
Speaking of rats. Someone in this building. Speaking of rats. I said something in the Slack messages that got tweeted, and I don't like that. I like tight lips around here. Speaking of rats.
Which my rats have tight lips because they're frozen in my freezers.
The heck,
dude. Speaking of rats. Well, allegedly.
Our Chuck E. Cheese episode has finally hit.
Allegedly speaking of alleged rats.
Okay.
It could be rats. Who knows? I told you that we got the Ring. We went for the full Ring home security system. Did I tell you that?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The full home security system.
Are the wires cut?
Well, what part of what we did was we put motion sensors in the garage. And so last night, 2:37 a.m., the alarm goes off.
Like
because,
the bing, bing.
Yeah. No, the full alarm. Like the whole... Our motion sensor was tripped in the garage. No, a little more. You're rolling. It's not a roll.
You're right.
And so I wake up 2:30 in the morning.
2:37.
2:37. Dazed and confused. Hearing this alarm. That was quieter than I expected it to be, honestly. This is the first time it's gone off. Way quieter than I expected. Turn it off. Go down to the garage to see if I can figure out what happened.
Did you bring anything with you?
No, I was fist fight. I'm a fist fight kind of guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so Bree went down first. Got it.
No, I'm a fist fight
No,
kind
I
of
understand. Bree's the protector of your home.
Here's the thing you need to understand. I sleep in full bulletproof armor.
So I make our bed, walk down to the... It just...
But it's the ropes and pulleys. Intruder.
And so
at our basement, we have a raised ranch. So our basement is where the garage is.
Yeah.
And so I get to the stairs and this bed construction and just fall down.
Technology not cut up to know how to do the stairs yet. So you get down there.
I run downstairs and I get into the basement.
You run?
Yeah. Because that's my strategy. Here's the thing.
Say, play it out.
Every time something weird happens, this has happened a couple times where like we thought someone was breaking in the middle of the night.
I've seen your house, dude.
Yeah. Well, I told you what happened last time this happened.
There was a bat?
I overfilled one of our closets and the rack just exploded out the wall. And it was loud.
Yeah.
And I woke up and just freaking dead sprinted out into. And that's what happens is like whenever there's a moment like this, like I don't think and I don't think I should get something, like I just run to where I think the problem is, and I'm gonna get there fast enough that they're not gonna be ready for me, and I'm just gonna win. So I'm gonna die. Anyways, I get down to the basement into the garage, and there's nothing in there, and so now I'm trying to. I'm still.
Except for that girl behind you.
Well, that's the thing. I'm a little spooked now because the garage doors were shut, all the windows were sealed, the door into the garage from the house was sealed.
They're still in your house.
And there was nothing in the garage.
They're still in there.
I checked everything in the garage. There was nothing in the garage. There was
because as soon as the alarm went off, they also took off running.
Well, no, you couldn't. Nothing else opened. It was just the motion sensor in the garage. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking for mice. That's why I thought it made me think of rats. I was like, maybe it was a mouse or another bat, or an entity. I told Bree, I was like, we might have a ghost, and she's like, don't say that.
All right.
So we're putting a camera in the basement with night vision and like thermal, see if we can catch the ghost. Because we used to have.
All cameras have night vision now. That's not a special thing.
Yeah, but thermal.
Thermal?
Yeah, I want thermal.
Oh, to
vision.
get like the heat?
Yeah, the heat sensor. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we used to have.
How hot are rats?
They're so hot. Rat body temperature is 300 degrees. That's why it takes so long for them to freeze. Don't touch a rat. If you see a rat, you'll burn your skin.
Rat,
you will burn your skin. It's sizzling. I think we should make a term for it instead of cool. Like we should use like and something's really cool and sizzling. Oh wait, that's just cool because the hotter it goes in temperature. Man, that's hot.
Yeah, that was full circle for you. That was great. So
no, but we used to have motion sensor lights in our garage. We used to have motion sensor lights in our garage, and they would just turn on all the time. Like I'd be out in the backyard, and like we've got a window in the backyard that I can see
the garage would turn on.
And the garage light would turn on, and I would go down there, and there would be nothing in there. I don't know what it is. I think we have an entity.
Yeah, you have a ghost stuck in your garage.
Yeah, and you say bye to someone in the basement every time you leave my house.
Yeah, because she's down there. She's stuck in your garage. So they are just breaking into homes. Like, are they busting glass? What are they doing?
So they're breaking into homes however they can get in.
Busting glass and what?
Freezing rats.
Freezing rats, dude.
Yeah, someone broke our entire
filled our freezer with rats.
Freezer with rats, and they're all in cups. They're all in large cups, very large solo cups. They're like bucket-sized solo cups, and there's just a frozen rat. But here's the craziest part.
We should call this guy the Barefoot Bandit.
It's not all the way to the top. The ice is only halfway down, so I think my freezer is no good.
It's actually a blessing they did that. Those pizza rolls are not good anymore. So they're breaking into people's homes. It's not that funny. This is bad.
They're breaking into people's homes. He's learning the ropes. It's kind of a thrill thing for them for a little bit. They're hanging out. They're doing their thing. And then he learns, I'm not getting my needs
He
met.
breaks into a house and you just hear... You know what I'm talking about? Like, you're freaking sprinting. And he's like, oh, I wasn't ready for this.
I got here too fast.
Oh, no.
I got here so quick. I've got my gun, but he's too fast for me. He got here so fast.
We're going back to juvie for sure, dude. Oh, rats.
I get there before the little echo can even do its song and the red lights and stuff. I'm just
and then
All-Star plays.
And then the All-Star.
There's someone dead sprinting at us with All-Star mustache in the back. Jeez. Why is that guy got full body armor?
I'm just trying to get my necessities.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you like our show and you want more of it, we have plenty of other episodes. One that I enjoyed was Jose Canseco, the baseball player from like the 90s and stuff. But also, it's kind of an alien episode. Spoiler alert. So go check that out. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And now back to this episode.
So he starts doing this with his friend. Whatever, they're doing their thing. And then he realizes basic needs aren't getting met at home. Aren't, no. Like he doesn't have food.
Why doesn't he just live in one of these houses?
He doesn't have clothes. And so that's what he says. He says, you know what? Like, I've got a solution.
I can just live in one of these houses.
And so he doesn't live in the house. What he's doing is he's breaking in for a couple days, eating a bunch of food, stealing whatever he needs.
Sleeping.
Yeah. Sometimes ordering stuff on Amazon with their cards, with their
Sure.
credit cards. And then going out to the woods. I'm out of breath from that sprint.
You didn't even move. You're out of breath from fake sprinting? You pumped your arms as if you were sprinting and you're out of breath?
It was a very intense fake sprint.
Was it?
It was. Did you see that?
I saw it.
Here, do it. See how out of breath you get.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, check that heart rate.
Let me get my indoor run so I can track it.
Yeah, I got to get credit for this.
Here I go.
You feel wicked.
I'm coming.
You're no star.
Here I go.
Show on.
I'm getting there too fast. I'm going to get you. Oh, no. A staircase. Dude, I can do this for hours, man.
All right, do it the rest of the episode.
Shoot.
So Colton realizes his necessities aren't getting met. And so he starts breaking into these houses, getting food, getting clothes, and then a little bit of extra stuff on the side. And what he does is he only spends a couple days in there. And then he leaves the house and he goes to a tent he set up in the woods.
Why?
And he lives in that tent because he thinks it's easier to hide there than hide in the houses he's breaking
That's a
into.
160 heart rate, I guess. That's what.
See, it gets it going. And I was also laughing, And it's hot in here. It smells like dog food. I'm not going to explain why.
Does smell like dog food. That is true.
I'm not going to tell you why, though.
That is true.
Oh, okay. So
he's living in a tent.
He's living in this tent.
But what? Okay.
And so this goes on for like
until his next Airbnb experience?
Yeah, until he needs something. Until he needs some more food or
his air breaking in her. His Airbnb?
Airbnb.
It was right there. That's good.
Yeah,
so he's living in a tent back behind all these houses? And he's
in the woods. So sometimes it just depends the neighborhood he picked, So sometimes it's right behind, but sometimes it's not. Well, word gets out in the community that someone's breaking into a lot of the houses and stealing a lot of their Cheerios and stuff. And so people are kind of on edge, like looking out. And so the police start.
What year is this?
This is 2005, 2006.
Yeah, too early for like
2 years.
Cameras and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really rich, you probably have a camera, security system. This is ADT's heyday,
Yeah.
This is pre-Ring doorbells.
It's pretty crazy. You remember the ADT commercials where like the numbers would like go like the whole house?
That was a cool commercial.
And then it was like if they break in, it's going to call ADT and ADT's going to call 911.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the time that all happens, you're dead.
Yeah, you're super dead. We had ADT growing up.
Did you? No, that makes sense. That tracks fully,
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah. It changed me.
We had OnStar.
Is that the button in the car?
button in the car?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I pressed that a couple times on accident.
What's
OnStar.
wrong? What's wrong? Help!
No, not on.
Your mom's like, no!
And I'm like, I don't know
He's
this lady.
kidding. He's joking.
I don't know her. Yeah, I only did it when we fought.
What are they doing?
We just call 911 and let them sit there for 45 seconds. What are they doing?
Sorry, Shrek forgot his line. So he's getting into it, and the reports are
people are starting to keep an eye out.
The police are really trying to track him down. One day they end up.
He breaks into one house. There's a 12-year-old boy. He's met his match. right? Because he tries to walk up the stairs, trips on the marbles.
Trips on the
You know?
He breaks into a home.
Okay.
And a neighbor. Here's the big problem with Colton. He didn't listen to his friend. So his friend said there's one rule in burglary, is keep the lights off. He would turn the lights on and chill and
Hang out.
make chicken nuggets,
Turn the TV on.
and, watch
a
TV,
movie.
order stuff on the internet, stay for a couple days until it showed up.
It's 2006, Dane Cook's at his peak, isn't he?
Actually, yeah.
And so he's like, I want to watch
Yeah.
my boy Dane.
Yeah. And so one day he's in one of these houses and a neighbor sees the lights on and calls the police and says, hey, the lights are on at this house that's supposed to not have anyone in it for like 6 more months. So the police come and he hears them coming or whatever. He gets out of the house before they find him, but they're able to kind of follow his trail back to his tent.
Yeah, I mean, because he's got bare feet.
I can hear the sound of a bear walking. And so they chase him back to this tent, and he's not there, but they find
his
the tent. And the tent is full to the brim of all these stolen.
I can't even replicate that sound.
Full to the brim with all these stolen goods that have been reported stolen for like 2 years.
How's he carrying this stuff around? At that point, why have it? You got to get a second tent. You got to have a storage tent.
I think so. I think that was a storage tent because
You got to have like a garage tent.
Yeah. He's building all these expansions on his tent empire.
Yeah, adding a second garage this weekend.
And so they begin to build their case against him. And a couple months later, they end up tracking him down and arresting him.
Okay.
And so he goes to juvie. He's now 16 years old. And he gets sentenced to 3 years in juvenile detention for all this string of burglaries that he's committed. He's in there for a year, and he turns his life around. He starts studying, doing a really good job in school. He picks up aviation, but like they don't let you fly, but he starts reading all the manuals and stuff, all the learning that you do before you actually fly. He starts doing that, but for not like, no one's like, hey, we're going to give you a pilot license.
Yeah.
Like he's just doing it,
He's like, it's going to be fun to pretend.
Kind of actually. But he's got a great attitude. He's not getting in any fights. He's listening, like obeying, And so after a year, they say, hey, we'll transition you out of this maximum security juvenile detention center into a low security group home. And this is just a home in a neighborhood that has a bunch of juvenile detainees living in it on house arrest. And
with no adult supervision.
Well, there's adults show up and check on them every once in a while.
Oh, wait. No, there's an adult who lives there.
Yeah, there's an adult who lives there. So he's staying there.
Sure.
And he's there for like a month before he breaks out. And so they're like, oh, that was a miss.
They're like, oh, dang it.
And so word gets out that Colton is back out on the loose because everyone's like, oh, this guy steals all of our stuff in our vacation homes.
Yeah.
And so the town is spooked. The town is on edge. He breaks into one home and has a very close encounter with the law, but he gets away. And so he decides, he's like, I got to get out of here. He's like, if I'm going to be able to do this, I got to do this,
Like get to a different town or what?
Yeah. And so luckily, he's been reading books on flying. And before he got arrested, he had stolen a computer that had Microsoft Flight Simulator on it. So he's been flying in that Flight Simulator a lot.
Okay.
But this is not current Flight Simulator. This is old Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
But he's like, I think I know my way around a Cessna 152.
Okay.
So he finds the local.
Are you suggesting that current Flight Simulator?
Well, I'm saying, here's what I'm suggesting.
Are you suggesting that you
Here's what, no.
like,
Let me tell you what I'm
I've got-
suggesting. Let me tell you what I'm suggesting.
I know my way around.
If you were going to, I don't know, try to steal an airplane with no flight experience,
yeah, that's rough.
practicing in current Flight Simulator is probably a little bit better than practicing in old Flight Simulator.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying.
That's all you're saying.
That's all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's like practicing in old Flight Simulator is like saying I flew in GTA, and so now I know how to do it.
True.
Practicing a new Flight Simulator is like saying I flew in GTA, so now I know how to do it. But I at least know some of the words. That's the point.
Sure.
Anyways, so he starts hanging out around he sets up a tent at the edge of the runway, And he just starts watching the patterns in the airport. He doesn't actually set up a tent. I don't want you to think that that's the truth. But he does hang out around the airport, just kind of watching what's going on in there. And so he can figure out patterns, figure out who's who and what they do, you know. Late one night, he jumps the fence into this little private airport, and he goes and he finds this target plane, a Cessna 152. And
flies it to a bar in Manhattan. Lands right on the road. So I made it here from Washington in 15 minutes.
he's like, you guys didn't believe me.
Put my name on the wall.
I told you I could do it. By the way, also get me some really spicy wings. I'll eat them all right now.
I'll do all of it right now.
So he goes with his plane. Sure enough, the owner left it unlocked and just left the keys on the seat.
They do that.
And so he pops in, starts it up, goes through the pre-flight checklist because he read the book. He knows what to do.
Remarkably easy to steal planes, to be honest.
And he's off. Manages to take off and is airborne and is feeling really good about it, right? Makes it to Yakima.
Okay.
And then while he's flying over Yakima, he realizes he forgot one very important part of the pre-flight checklist.
How to land.
No. How much fuel do I have?
Oh, no.
And so he realizes he's almost out of fuel. Obviously, he's a fugitive. He can't land at an airport. And so he, as a guy who's never flown a day in his life, decides I've got to try to find a field somewhere to take this down in because I can't land, obviously, in an airport. And so he lands it in this...
you got to do your ABCs. You got to check your airspeed. You got to look for your best place to land.
And then you got to crash. Always be crashing.
Always be crashing, baby.
And so he takes it down into this field, and he survives. It was not.
It doesn't look like he botched it too much.
Yeah, it was not a great landing.
Nope.
But it landed, and he got out and he went into the woods
and just left it.
And he waited a couple days, and then he went into town and he started robbing some homes.
Waited a couple days.
Yeah, let the heat dissipate.
Because someone's going to find that plane.
Yeah, they're gonna know. They're gonna know pretty quickly. Oh, someone crashed a plane in that field, and then someone's gonna pretty quickly realize my plane's gone.
Yeah.
And so he waited a little bit, and then he went out into this field. And here's the thing about him. He's a kid, and it's 2007.
He's 18.
Yeah, it's 2007.
No, he's 16 still.
Facebook era. So he starts a Facebook page. And
Stop it.
He's hanging out in the woods with all of his stolen goods, and he's posting pictures on his Facebook page.
What are you, an idiot?
And he begins this.
And he starts posting, how do I get away with crime? How do I do tax fraud?
Here's the thing. He becomes
an internet famous?
Relatively big in that era of Facebook. I think he peaked at 20,000 Facebook followers, which was pretty big for that era of Facebook.
Okay. He does look familiar.
Yeah. And so
This is a very 2007 selfie too.
Yeah, it is. He begins this lifestyle of camping out in the woods, going into town to burglarize homes, and he would steal pretty much just the essentials. He every once in a while
I can teach you how to do it too. Just join my course.
Every once in a while, he would purchase stuff online with people's credit cards, but it was usually the stuff he would purchase would be like camping flashlights.
So here's the fun part, though.
Stuff.
Let's say he breaks into someone's home.
Yeah.
Purchase something with their credit card.
Yeah.
Right. He's using their computer. His phone. I guess he's got a phone.
Yeah. Well, he's stolen computers. He's stolen phones.
Whose phones is he?
He's
using?
stealing people's computers. He's stealing people's phones.
So he orders something to be delivered to their house.
And so yeah, he looks for houses where people are out of town, and he stays there for a couple days.
Get it later.
Yeah.
What if you get caught stealing the package?
Well, that's the thing. He finds people who are out on vacation. So
but I'm saying how funny it would be.
Oh,
is if he broke into this whole home, used their credit card to order food and all this stuff, and orders a couple packages. Comes back 2 days later when his Amazon shipping has arrived, and then gets caught stealing the package and gets in trouble for that.
For stealing, yeah.
And he's just like, yes,
yeah. It was
this
just
is all
the
I've
package.
done.
All I've done is steal the package.
And they're like, well, you saying that makes me feel like you didn't. He's like, plain and simple. What was that?
Did you say
No, no.
I said walking simple.
Just
walking simple.
simple.
Just standing and sitting here simple. Not moving at all simple.
This is great.
That's my favorite phrase is not moving simple.
Okay. So he's posting all this stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
Live.
So he for the next couple of years, he has this lifestyle.
He
where
goes by the Barefoot Bandit.
He's living in the woods and he's got this Facebook page and he's posting pictures and stuff. But here's what he's doing though. He's kind of smart about it because what he's doing is he'll go in, he'll stay in the house for a couple of days while people are out of town, go back into the woods, camp out in the woods. And then when he feels like he's got a little too much heat on him after burglarizing a dozen or so homes in the area,
He leaves.
he steals a car. And then what he does is he takes that car and until he's got cash now because he's stealing, but he never gets gas because he was worried about security cameras. So he would just ditch the car when he ran out of gas and steal a new car. So he was never land on a security camera and never spend money anywhere. And so he was less traceable.
Okay.
And then he would find a new town, show up in a new town, and then repeat the process. Set up camp somewhere in the woods, go into town when he needed stuff, and do this for a couple months. Burglarize a couple dozen homes, and then go on to the next town.
I guess he's showering at the homes he breaks into, huh?
Oh, yeah. He's showering. He's got a whole routine. And he's eating, like he's doing all the stuff.
Sure.
Right? And so this goes on for a couple of years. It's estimated that he breaks into well over 100 homes, burglarizes a few dozen vehicles, and steals 6 airplanes and uses those to jump town on multiple occasions as well. Each time
landing in a
doing
field
the same
every
thing,
time?
landing in some field outside of town. And he goes from Washington, and he repeats this in Washington, in Oregon, in Idaho, in North Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Indiana. Goes almost across the entire country. After 2 years of this whole thing,
Only the boring parts, though.
everyone's like, "Why don't you go to an
Go
interesting
somewhere
city?"
cool.
Well, because the cool places are where the better cops are.
I guess.
This place is not cool enough to have good cops.
Yeah, it's still 2008.
But he was, because he kind of like had like an extended stay at
Sure.
all of the places he was robbing. He was like living in their home for a couple days. And so he's walking around barefoot. And so a lot of the crime scenes would have chalk outlines of bare feet where he stepped in dirt and walked around barefoot or something. I don't know. I don't know why they knew his bare feet were walking through there, but a lot of the reports would end up with his bare feet in there. So they started calling him the Barefoot Bandit. That's where he got the name. And he loved it a little bit and leaned into it. And there was an event where in the middle of the night, he broke into like a CVS and he drew with chalk lines himself, the bare feet walking all over, and left a note and said, "It's the
Barefoot Bandit was here.
Gotcha." He's like the guy from Home Alone.
Didn't steal anything.
Yeah, he just wants people to know he was here. And he was also he was an interesting kid because he didn't.
He's like, what if I had a name? You know?
What if we need a name? We need a
name.
And what if it was something that scales? So it's like we could be dry, we could be soaked, or we could be wet. No, and so here's the thing about him though. Like there was a sense that he had obviously he's burglarizing homes and stealing vehicles and planes and all that stuff, right? But there's a sense that there's a little bit of morality for him because he's never hurting anybody.
Yeah.
And he's also only stealing what he needs. Like he's not people have like stashes of cash in their house. He only takes a little bit of it. He only takes enough to get it by. And he's taking mostly food when he breaks into places. Every once in a while, he's taking survival supplies if he can find them. And then he's doing some credit card fraud to order stuff online for usually survival goods. Usually. And so he's stealing stuff, yes. But a lot of people are like, well, he's stealing stuff to survive. He's on the run. Like
he's like ethical.
Yeah. To the point where in Idaho, he left there's a veterinarian clinic, and he left a card with $100 cash in it and signed it from him and said, "Here's to help the animals."
From the Barefoot Bandit.
From the Barefoot Bandit. He said, "Thanks for the feet." The
Barefoot Bandit.
And it just made a donation to a vet, which vets are like, "We don't need your donation.
No, we don't.
We charge a lot."
we're a business.
We charge a lot
We're
for
a
this.
for-profit. we put down the dog and still charge the owner.
We appreciate the donation.
We're like, hey, I have really bad news about your dog. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that.
Their most profitable edge of the business is their freezer rats. Yeah. The shots will be $300, but you want to need.
Are you interested in our stock of?
Rats
They last so long. Would you like a freezer rat? Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? Would you like a ratsicle?
Yeah, it's a rat for your freezer. It tells you how frozen your freezer is.
It's a whole thing. It's kind of.
What does it? Does it
honestly,
say something?
if you don't know what it is already, it's not worth explaining it to you.
It's gonna be really weird to you.
Like, it's kind of one of those. Like, it's a little bit like you can either know or you don't.
You either know or you don't, and if you don't, you probably should keep it that way because otherwise, you're not gonna like. You're not
Otherwise,
gonna like it. I can tell you.
Once I tell you, I can't untell you. You understand?
Yeah. But you're gonna want to buy them. You'll spend. They're $100 a pop, and you'll buy them all.
No, I don't know about the rat.
Hey, thanks for checking out our show. If you like it and you want to support, be a part of what we're doing here, you can do that by becoming a patron. What happens there is you get to be in the community. We have a Discord with our hosts and producers. We have a lot of fun. We're super active in there every day. You get access to ad-free content a week before everybody else. And we have a Zoom every month with our patrons. We hang out, we eat pizza, we get to know you a little bit better. It's a blast. And there's a ton of other different benefits like merch discounts, birthday messages, things like that are super cool. If you want to be in that, you can just text TILLN to 66866, and that'll get you right in there. If not, we're just super glad that you're here, and thanks for watching our show. So he's in Indiana.
Okay.
Stealing cars and all,
Sure.
the whole thing. It's been 2 years. At this point, he's got a $10,000 bounty on his head. He's wanted in whatever this is, like 9 states now. And so he's like, also Canada. He went up to Canada for a minute.
International
Forgot about
crimes.
that. Yeah. And so he's
What did he do? Fly there?
yeah. And he stole did the same play in Canada for a little bit. And so now he's in Indiana and he's like, this is sketchy. I got to get out of here.
Did he know enough to like turn the transponder off? I guess. All right.
A couple weeks before the story I'm about to tell you, the FAA is like,
That's what I'm saying. This guy's stealing planes.
This guy keeps
the
stealing
FAA
planes.
will figure stuff out before the FBI.
And so the FBI has been following him. All local municipalities are.
You get
following
Oklahoma
him.
City on it. They can't return my letters, but they sure can find this guy.
So what people are starting to realize.
I wrote the FAA a letter. And
Is this the Hawk Nelson song?
No. It says, "Dear FAA, I was so perplexed when I saw that you removed
Spicy buffalo
spicy buffalo
from my airplane."
from the menu. I'm wondering why you did this.
So the FAA, it's becoming really clear. If there's a car that's ditched in town and
There's
some
gonna
houses
be a
start
plane.
getting burglarized, then it's like, oh, he's in town. And they start to pick up on that's the
Let's
footprints
watch
of
the
where it is.
airports.
And so they know he's in Indianapolis now. And so the FAA is like, hey, you guys need to go call all the private plane owners in the city and tell them, hey, don't leave your keys on your seats because there's a guy who's stealing planes. Otherwise, your plane's going to get stolen.
Yeah.
So they call this meeting. All the private plane owners come to this meeting. This
fly
is
in
2000. This is now late 2009. And they tell them, hey, there's a plane bandit on the loose. We believe he's in this town. He's stolen 6 small single-engine aircraft. You own one of those. And so we want you to be on high alert. Lock your planes. Don't leave your keys in the plane.
And one guy's like, and they're like, well, I'll take questions at the end. I think you want this one now. My plane got stolen this morning. And they're like, okay.
Do you think do we have any
Meeting
data?
adjourned.
Do we have any data on how well the plane rats do against this situation?
Yeah, once he gets a certain altitude, they'll unthaw.
They'll thaw out.
You're
they
now
tell
free to move about the cabin.
they tell everyone to lock up their stuff. Well, there's one specific pilot who misses the meeting.
Okay.
One guy misses
It
the
happens to be his plane that gets stolen.
meeting. And so his plane gets stolen.
For sure.
Luckily, it was the banner guy.
And so he takes off. Unbeknownst to him, he's got this big
jungle
banner.
law.
Unfair DUI. We can help. Oh man.
So he steals this guy's specific plane. It is a guy last name Miller. I can't remember his first name right now.
Donald.
Steals his plane, and his plan is I need to get out of the U.S. And so he finds out that Cuba doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S. And so if he can get to Cuba, then he can start a new life, live there free of crime, and not ever get extradited for his crimes in the U.S.
Sure.
And so he steals the plane, and he tries his first over water flight. Here's the thing: this is his 7th flight ever. And it's every time it's been different airplanes. And so he luckily checked the fuel and made sure this aircraft had enough fuel to make that distance, Indianapolis to Cuba. But
that's a long flight.
Very long flight. But
you have to stop.
But he miscalculates the flight path, and he ends up over the Bahamas, which makes it very far, but is running out of fuel at the Bahamas. So he decides to take it down in the Bahamas, and he botches the landing because the dirt on the island was softer, and so the landing gear just sunk into the dirt and flipped. And that triggered the transponder that there was a crash. And so the FAA gets the alert.
Yeah.
And they call this guy and they're like, hey, did you just crash? It's 4th of July. It's 4th of July weekend.
Did you just crash your plane in the Bahamas?
And he's like,
Yeah, I almost didn't answer because I was like, who's calling me? And my buddy made a really funny joke where he said, let freedom ring, you know? And so I'm sorry I didn't answer right away. Are you calling me about that meeting I missed earlier? Because I'm real sorry about that.
I'm real sorry, but I didn't want to go.
I just didn't want to do that.
Didn't want to do that. So the guy's like, yeah, that wasn't me. I'm still in Indiana. And they're like, okay.
Unless we renamed this place the Bahamas.
And so the FAA puts 2 and 2 together and says, oh, a plane from someone in Indiana, where we know Colton was from, or was at, just crashed to the Bahamas, and the owner doesn't know about it. This is probably our guy.
Yeah.
And so they send the Coast Guard down to go get him, and they're like, you guys...
Go get him.
Yeah, we know you don't usually do gun stuff, but maybe bring a gun this time.
Take one. Take a sword.
Because they do know he hasn't used a weapon, but they do know he's armed, and they do know at this point he's kind of desperate because he's committed a lot of felonies. He's got a $10,000 bounty on his head.
Sure.
And there's been very vocal talks over the last few months that there were bounty hunters looking for him. Like they've been like, yeah, the bounty hunters are after you, and he keeps seeing that on his Facebook feed. People are DMing him. They're like, hey, I'm a bounty hunter. Where you at?
Hey, what's up, man? You want to hang out? I just want to be friends.
Want to tell me a little bit about robbery? What are the rules?
Hi, I'm new to town. I saw your profile and would love to sponsor a post.
So he crashes, he gets out, and he starts, this is Bahamas now. I live here now. And so he goes and does the same thing he always does. He sets up camp somewhere in the wilderness, goes into town to steal stuff, and live off of stealing stuff. And so he's there for 10 days. The Coast Guard gets there. They find the crash site. He's not there. But they're like, we know he can't get far. Because he's, in the Bahamas.
Is he going to steal another plane in the Bahamas?
Well, he steals someone's speedboat.
That'll work.
And he's doing the same thing he always does. And on July 11, 2010, this is about whatever that is,
week later?
7 days after he crashed. He pulls up to a party, a party where the locals are like on the beach partying in a speedboat, and pulls up close to the shore and yells and says, this is not a joke. He says, "Hey, where are your cops?" And the locals are like, "Excuse me, what?" He's like, "Where are your cops at?" And then he's like, "I mean, we've got cops here." And he's like, "This is tourist season." And so they're used to the tourists being weird.
Sure.
And he's like, he's obviously a tourist. And so he's like, he's like, "I mean, we have cops in the Bahamas, but I don't think we have as many as you guys do." He's like, "But they're around." And he's like, "I'm bored. Will you call them?"
He said, "I'm bored."
Yeah, and the guy was like, "That was weird." And then he just speeds off and he said, "I'm Colton Harris Moore. Look me up on the internet." And then speeds off in the speedboat.
So he's speeding through the ocean, right? He's like, and then part of him goes, "I'm not even being chased right now.
He's like, "This isn't fun anymore.
I just want to be,
This is too easy.
I want to be chased."
It's about the chase for me.
Hey,
if I don't
guys.
feel like I'm being chased, I
Hey,
want
Coast
you to
Guard.
pursue me.
Come and get me. Come and get me. I'm going to build a fort.
You're not going to find me.
You're not going to find me.
And so he's driving around this island that night. This is late at night,
Waiting for the cops.
waiting for the police to show up. And the party was like, "All right, we'll call him." And so,
He's straight up doing Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, "Oh, I only got like 1 star."
and so the police they show up and they find him and they start chasing him. And he's in a speedboat that's way
He's like,
faster than
"I'm
that.
so much faster than you."
He's so much faster, and so he's losing them. But
Slowing down a little bit just to keep him close.
yeah, just to keep him like on. Yeah, and so he's kind of toying with them. But he's not a local.
He doesn't know
he doesn't know these waters, and so he's flying through.
Oh no.
And he hits a sandbar, and he gets caught in this sandbar, and he starts trying to back up and trying to push it, and he's just digging himself deeper into the sandbar. And so then the police catch up to him, and they kind of have this interchange. They're yelling at each other. He's throwing laptops into the ocean. And they're like, "What are you throwing over there?" He's like, "It's just my pictures.
My stuff.
It's just some."
It's weighing the boat down.
Weighing the boat down.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they can swim. It's fine.
Don't worry about any of this.
All these rats. He's throwing so many rats into the ocean. And they're all frozen. Now are they still frozen? It's the middle of the summer.
trying to cool down the waters.
If the water was colder, I could move. I could run. If I could freeze this, I could
So
run
he's
on top of it.
stuck.
And so he gets into this interchange. And then the reports are foggy here.
He got tased.
It's not clear exactly what happens. There's a couple versions of the story, but the most accepted version of this story is that he took out his firearm, he pointed it at himself. They had a 20-minute long conversation, boat to boat, heart to heart, boat to boat, and then the conversation went south, and he fired a round, and they lit the boat up and disabled the boat. Didn't hit him though; he was fine. And so then they came closer and they arrested him. So the Bahamian government the next day just parades him
I
around.
think it's Bohemian.
They just parade him around the Bahamas.
Oh, really?
Just like this. They literally take him around town. Like, "We got this guy. He's super wanted
And
in the
everyone's
U.S."
like, "Who is it?"
And they're like, look him up. He's on the internet. He's got 20,000 Facebook
This is how we
followers.
should show up to the Shrek musical. We show up to a high school play.
We got him.
We got him. We got him.
Yeah,
Because he's in
so-
a bulletproof vest.
Yeah, they parade him around town. And they're like, "We got him. We got the
Is
guy."
he hanging his head like that? Like
he's defeated. He's
the
sad.
guy been caught.
Yeah. And so the U.S. is like, "Sweet, they got him. We'll get him extradited."
And then they were like, "No."
But they're doing the math. They're doing the math, and they're like, "Well, the charges he's facing in the Bahamas, he's looking at 10 years in prison in the Bahamas, and then we'll get him to the U.S. and then he's looking at a lot more because he's like over 100 felonies."
So they're like,
In the
"Get him,
US.
keep him."
Yeah, well, they're like, we're going to have to wait for him to serve his time in the Bahamas before they extradite him to us. And so they wait a couple weeks, he goes on trial, and in the Bahamas, for some reason, and no one really knows why,
Was like, oh, cool.
the only thing they charged him with, he robbed a handful of homes. He crashed that plane, and he stole a speedboat, and he fired a shot at an officer. But the only thing they charged him with was entering the country without a passport, which was just a $300 fine. And
He was like, oh, I threw that in the water.
he's like, I was trying when I got stuck and I weighed too much. I heard paper's heavy.
I threw $300 exactly.
Yeah, I threw exactly
in the water.
$300. And so the United States government was like, we'll pay that fine. Can we have him? And so they did. They paid his fine.
He was like, thanks.
And
They were like, you're welcome.
And so they took him to court, and he, I don't know if he hired or managed to line up.
Pled not guilty.
He lined up the same lawyer that Ted Bundy hired.
Oh.
For a very specific reason. This kid's kind of smart. He hired the same lawyer that Ted Bundy hired because this guy, his expertise
Crimes across state lines?
No, his expertise is not to do a not guilty plea. It's to do a guilty plea, but get the jury on your side and feel bad for you and lighten your sentence. Because he knew, he's like, I can't.
I did it.
I can't get out of this. And he's like, but maybe I can get a lighter sentence if I hire someone who's really good at that. And so he gets this guy, and they have a very long hearing. But the picture that they paint is that this is a kid who never had a chance. He had a father that wasn't present. He had a mom that was an alcoholic.
Okay.
He was actually, he had fetal alcohol syndrome because his mother drank while he was in the womb. And lived in poverty, and he was a good kid. Like, he tried the first time he was in prison.
Sure.
And he never hurt anybody. He didn't steal any more than what he needed. That was the picture that they painted. And so the jury
was like, death penalty. Kill the poor. They're like, whoa, we didn't expect that outcome from the jury. Turns out the jury is a bunch of monsters. And they're like, get him.
Yeah, take him down.
Yeah.
And so
The jury was like, because they're rats.
They got a jury of his peers. They're the only people he was ever friends with. And he threw them all into the ocean in the Bahamas.
That was really dumb. I'm sorry.
The jury and the judge were like, they felt bad for the guy because they're like, yeah, he did a lot of things wrong.
He's like,
but he's a product of his environment. Yeah. And so he ends up getting a kind of dual punishment. So the first side of the punishment was 7 years in prison.
Okay.
Which he ends up serving 5 years and gets out on good behavior. So he got out in 2016. The other side of the punishment, this is an interesting part of the story that I haven't told you yet. Early in the story, after he has stolen the plane the first time, he goes back to Oregon. And when he's in Oregon, he meets up with a lawyer on an island. He steals a boat, goes out to an island, meets up with this lawyer. And he says, hey, he says, I want to sell my life story to a movie producer to make a movie out of this.
oh.
And he's like, can you help me do that?
And they made it so he can't.
And the lawyer was like, yeah, we can help you with that. And so he starts building this relationship with this lawyer during this whole time where he's on his way to Indiana, setting up this relationship where he can sell his life story. So he can go to Cuba, sell a life story, have a couple $1 million, live off of that for the rest of his life.
Sure.
The other part of the sentence was like, when you sell that, when that sale goes through, you have to use that to pay back all the people you robbed, and you can't keep a dime of it. And so he sells it for 7 figures. He does sell it to 20th Century Fox for 7 figures, and he has to repay every person he's robbed like cookies from. He's like, yeah, I stole $14.99 from your house. So here's that. So he didn't see a dime from selling his story. 20th Century Fox has used it to make 2 documentaries.
Oh.
And allegedly they're working on a film, but there hasn't been
They're going to garnish our YouTube money, dude.
What?
They're going to take our YouTube money.
20th Century Fox?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of them.
They're going to say,
could take
you
them.
can't tell his story. Now we get a cut of your YouTube earnings.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to be running so fast, they're not going to see me coming. They're gonna be like, "Where is this guy?" We didn't even.
I've been doing this the whole episode, so I'm just got a couple more minutes here, and I'm.
So yeah, so he didn't see a dime of that. He got out. He started in 2017 a GoFundMe to get his pilot's license, and the FAA was like,
"You're never gonna get your license.
FAA
This is
was like,
a
sorry,
scam.
take that down."
That's a scam.
And he was like, "Bummer. Okay,
You
okay,
know
sorry."
that though. You know you're not going to
No,
get
he
your
really
pilot's
wanted
license.
it. I don't know if. Well, he probably knew.
He's been studying enough that he knows that the
probably
requirements are you can't be a felon.
But he liked it. He liked it. There was something about the
"But
thrill of.
I like it.
There's just something about crashing a plane.
I like it. I want to learn to land."
And so in 2019, he started trying to make a career out of being a public speaker, but his parole officer didn't allow that.
Yeah.
But
It's too much travel.
Well, yeah, that's the big thing. But his parole ended in 2020. Obviously, couldn't travel then. The question is, now that things have cleared and his parole's over, we might have him come to a town near you as a public speaker.
Let's ask him. He's zoomed in.
So yeah, that's the story of the Barefoot Bandit, also known as Colton Harris Moore.
Wow.
He just got bored in the Bahamas.
It's just hey, call the cops.
Where are your cops?
I'm bored. Chase me.
Chase.
Come and get me.
Yeah.
And then they come and get him. And then they light his boat up.
Got him. Well,
And he's like, I was just joking about
I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that kind of.
I thought I was going to get away, to be
Back
honest.
home, they just chased me. They didn't do this part. And here's the wild thing: is he was in that speedboat, and you can kind of like lock the throttle on a boat, and so he locks the throttle, and he's flying like whatever's fast in a boat. I don't know, like 30 knots.
Once
Fast
he gets
in a
the
boat.
front.
And he's standing in the boat, and he's looking back, looking the other way, like standing on the front of the boat, looking the other way towards the cops chasing him. They're far away. And he's just sitting there with the fiddle. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you liked it, you can subscribe or watch some more episodes or some clips. But then I need to make this like 20 seconds. My producer said it has to be longer, so I'm just going to keep talking for a little bit. And is this long enough, Connor? Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for being here.